complimentary night to learn some more things about your health. Carmen had to go back and get some more chairs, and I told her the four most beautiful words on a Tuesday night are, "We need more chairs." Okay? so anyway, good to see you, Rose. So anyway, I want to be really upfront with you guys tonight. I have an agenda, and I'll tell you what it is. My agenda tonight is to shift your thinking from this crisis-centered, pharmaceutical-centered way of looking at health into a way of looking at health that actually gives people hope. Gives people hope for their bodies that don't work right anymore. You know, people in our culture, and I think you would probably agree with this, are running helter-skelter looking for healing. Would you say that's pretty much true? Yeah. The pharmaceutical industry has convinced people that pharmaceuticals are the answer. They've spent enormous amounts of money convincing people of that. And yet, we're the most pharmaceutically driven country on the planet. You know, we have 4% of the population. We take 50 to 60%, no, 40 to 50% of the world's pharmaceuticals. Yet, in spite of that, we're one of the unhealthiest countries of all the developed countries. That doesn't make any sense. So tonight we're going to talk about something a little different. My objective is to help you understand how the body really works. Now, in these talks that I've done a lot of talks. I've done talks on functional medicine, bone health, skin health, thyroid health, adrenal health, toxicity, you name it, I've talked about it. Next week, we're going to talk about chronic pain and how that works in the body. But tonight, we're going to talk about the main thing about how our bodies work and how our bodies heal. Okay? So, with that, we'll get into the slides. So, we have this built-in safety pin cycle, and I want you to, whenever you see a safety pin from now on, this is how I want you to think, okay? So, this is like the nervous system in the body, the brain, the rest of the body, and the nervous system right here. This is like a subluxation. So when our bodies are unhooked from our brain, that's called a subluxation, okay? And all primary care doctors who care for people with the primary intention to express life understand this. They understand this concept. Now, if you look at the body and how it works, this law, this isn't like a chiropractic philosophy. This is actual physiology. So it's not something that just chiropractors know about. Okay, we learn this from physiology textbooks. Our body sends messages to the brain, telling our brain what's going on. Okay, so our brain then takes those messages, sends messages back to the body, telling the body how to adapt. And these are loops of communication. It's the efferent and afferent pathway. Now I'm going to tell you how you can remember these. So the efferent pathway is the brain to the body. So think of effervescing bubbles spilling over your head out into your body. That's how I remember it, okay? Otherwise I couldn't remember it, all right? So those are the efferent pathway, afferent pathway. Now, anyone who does not know this or respect this before administering a diagnosis is violating one of the fundamental laws of health and physiology and how our bodies work. So how important is the nerve supply of the body? Let's look at bad scenario number one, okay? The guillotine. The French developed the guillotine. So what happens when the head is severed from the body? Death. How fast?
Instantly.
Why?
Cuts your brain off from your body.
Yeah, cuts your brain off from your body. In other words, you need electrical energy all the time going from your brain to your body. You cut off the electrical energy, you're done. You're dead instantly. That's how important that is. So that's a worst scenario, okay? I pray that none of us are ever in this scenario, okay? Let's look at bad scenario number two. A partial severing of the nerve supply from the brain to the body. Remember Christopher Reeve, Superman, and he had that bad horse accident? So he had a partial severing of the upper part of his neck, C1, C2. It's the same part of the neck that's used when they used to hang people. They'd wrap that cord around the axis vertebra right here, the spinous process, and the good hangman would get that cord right underneath it. And when the guy would fall, it'd snap it and drive it into the spinal cord. He'd die instantly. That's essentially what happened to Christopher Reeve mostly, except he didn't die. He was paralyzed. Okay, that's bad scenario number 2. I hope that never happens to any of you. Okay. Bad scenario number 3. This is where most people in our culture are. Subluxations interfering with the nerve supply from the brain to the body. So a minor subluxation can cut off 60% of the nerve flow to an organ or a muscle. Just a minor subluxation. Now, what is a minor subluxation? Okay, how much pressure will do this? Anybody want to guess?
I'll guess a dime, the weight of a dime.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You've probably heard this before, haven't you? I know you have. So the weight of a dime, put a dime on your hand, okay, and just hold it. And that's how much, all the nerve pressure you need to cut off 60% of the nerve flow.
Wow.
Not very much, okay? Not much at all, okay? So the subluxation that causes pain will eventually destroy your spine if it's not corrected. Do all subluxations cause pain?
No.
No, they don't. You can have a subluxation without pain. In fact, by the time it gets pain, it's been there for a while. Okay? Symptoms are always the last stage of a disease. Always. Okay? So, how many of you have known somebody, and I've asked this question before, I'll ask it again. Somebody that's gone in the physician, felt pretty good, didn't have any pain, and they come out with a stage 4 cancer diagnosis. They didn't even know they had it.
You hear about it all the time?
Yeah, happens all the time. Okay, understand this. Pain has nothing to do with your health. Symptoms don't always have a lot to do with your health. You can go to a foreign country and ingest a bacteria and have it come out of both ends, okay? And that's a perfectly normal reaction for your body. You have lots of symptoms, your body's working perfectly. That happened to me when I went to Haiti back in the middle 80s. Wasn't very pleasant, but my body got it out, okay? Okay? So pain and symptoms or not having symptoms, not a very good way to measure health. Now, the origins of life are triggered by what happens in the central nervous system. The brain is constantly making observations and adaptations to help your body do its best to stay alive and maintain as much health as possible. There's no evidence that a healthy brain can produce sickness in the body. Now, here's something I want you to understand. Even if you never exercise to maintain vitality, and you live off of junk food, and that describes a lot of Americans, okay, a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them, the brain is still going to do its best to maintain vitality and give you another breath, okay? And when I see the way that some people fill their shopping carts when I go shopping, it's stunning to me that they have the energy to push their cart, okay, just by what they buy. I could not live that way. But, you know, our bodies are so amazing. They just keep going on and on and on until one day, you know, if you don't give it the right stuff, you know, eventually we're all going to die. Some people are going to die a lot sooner if they don't take care of themselves. So I'm pretty much in awe of the central nervous system. You know, our bodies start with 2 cells which divide exponentially. So the brain and the spinal cord are formed first. Very first things that are formed in the body. Anybody know why that is? Why does that happen? Why is the brain and spinal cord? Why didn't we form an eye first or a toe?
Because you need that brain to tell your body what to do.
That's exactly right. That's the right answer. Brain is formed because it controls and coordinates the development of the rest of that child, okay? So it has to be formed first. So the organs grow off the nerves directed by the brain. Now the body tries to protect things appropriately. So vital organs are protected by the ribs, okay? So we have, heart, lungs, liver, all of that's protected by the ribs. However, you think it's a coincidence that the brain and spinal cord have their own covering. No, it's the most important system in the body. By weight, bone is 9 times stronger than steel. Now, subluxations have been described in 4 different ways. It can be the dysfunctional movement of a joint irritating a nerve. Okay. Personally, I believe this is probably the least accurate of the ones I'm going to show you. Okay. But it's an easy way to explain it to people. Second, it can be an inflammatory process of ligaments and discs and other tissues surrounding the nerves where they exit the bones. So there's a subluxation irritating the tissue, causes inflammation, irritates the nerve. I think that's a pretty accurate explanation of it, okay? Now, Dr. Adam over here may disagree, I don't know, but it can be an outright compression of a disc on a nerve. And you see this sometimes on MRIs, okay? By the way, before we get to the last one, here's one thing I want you to understand about MRIs, okay, about what people find on them, is that if you were to do an MRI, say in 100 people, you'd find a significant portion of them with bulged or herniated discs that looked like they were impinging a nerve, and that person had no symptoms, 0 symptoms. There's studies that have been done like that, okay? So just because you find something on a study doesn't mean that that's causing the problem. And so here's what happens. Here's what happens in medicine. I'm not bashing these guys, okay? But I'm just telling you what happens, okay? So you go in, you have pain, and let's say you have sciatic pain. So do an MRI. They find a bulged disc on the L5 nerve, lower back, on the MRI. Yep, that's it, man. We found it. Okay, we're going to go in there and we're going to clip that disc. We're going to fix that. So they go in, they cut on it, get the disc off the nerve. The patient wakes up, and they're no better. Symptoms, they may even be worse. Happens all the time, because that wasn't the problem. That was an incidental finding that had nothing to do with the problem. Happens a lot, okay? So this doesn't always indicate the problem. You need to know that. Now, number 4, this is a little bit more complicated explanation of what a subluxation is. It's an electromagnetic charge from an inflammatory response creating tissue changes which emit an alteration in tone and electrical field. Now, what that basically says is that when you have abnormal pressure on a bone, that can create it's called a piezoelectrical effect, which creates an electrical effect around that area and causes changes in that electrical field. This probably happens a lot, okay? We can't prove it, but we know about that effect. Now, scientific evidence proves that people with subluxations, when adjusted, reveals a response that actually enhances function and decreases problems. Now, there's 3 ways to look at chiropractic. I don't believe in chiropractic. Anybody ever hear that? Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, nobody's ever heard that, right? Right. I saw a new patient today, and I knew this patient. In fact, I'd adjusted this patient's horse many times, and so, but she was scared to come in to see me, and when I was analyzing her posture, she kept looking at me. She said, "You're not going to do anything to me, are you?" And I said, "No, I'm just looking at your posture." I said, we are really reasonable people. So anyway, it was kind of funny. That just happened today. And I said, no, I'm not going to do anything to you right now. And before I do, I'll let you know. Okay. So there's the I don't believe in chiropractic crowd. Okay. Then there's chiropractic is only good for pain relief. How many know people like that? You know, like most of the people that come in to see me come in for pain. Okay. Very few come in not because of something else. Always pain, usually pain. Okay. And you know, I want to get rid of pain too. I don't blame them. I don't want to walk around in pain either. But there's a lot more to it than this. So here's a third way of looking at chiropractic. Chiropractic enhances the way my entire body works, and thus the expression of life and organ function. So in other words, here's the way of looking at chiropractic. I feel pretty good, okay? So a lot of people, and this is how we're taught to think, okay, I'm not in pain, so I must be okay, all right? We're taught to think, I don't want to go back to the chiropractor because I'm not in pain, okay? So what about this? What about the other part that says 60%, you can have 60% of loss of function, the weight of a dime on a nerve. What about that part? Okay. In other words, when I adjust people that are out of pain, and Dr. Adam and I adjust each other every week, and I mean, I admit that at times I've been in pain when he's adjusted me, and he's adjusted me for a long time, for years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we adjust each other. How often am I in pain when you adjust me?
Well, it's pretty rare.
Pretty rare, okay? But I still get adjusted because I want my body to function at the highest level possible. In other words, I want my immune system to work right. I want my GI system to work right, especially in this age of COVID. I want my immune system working good, okay, as best as it can. And so I get adjusted whether I'm in pain or not, because it enhances the function of my entire body. Why? Because we're turning on the central nervous system, brain to body, body to brain, so the body can work right, okay? So chiropractic is not designed to instantaneously make you feel better, okay? I adjust people sometimes, they don't feel any different when they get off the table, you know? They still have inflammation, okay? But chiropractic is designed to instantaneously make you heal better, okay? So you may not feel better, but your body can start the healing process. In fact, can I ask you to just say a couple words? I didn't ask her to do this ahead of time. So Carmen, you said something to me one time that I thought was amazing. You said that it was about, 3 months of being adjusted when you first came to work for me? Can you can you repeat that?
I've repeated a lot of things, but after about 3 months of adjustments, I could go up and down stairs like a normal person because I had a bad hip and I wasn't walking correctly. And at first, I didn't think that chiropractic was doing a whole lot, but then after 3 months, it was just like, oh my gosh, everything is working better, feeling better, I'm thinking better, you know, and it was just like, okay, it does work, even if you don't think that it is, you know?
Yeah, so you didn't instantaneously feel better when you started working for me and got adjusted.
No.
No, it took a while.
It took a little while, yeah.
Yeah, it took a while, okay? So not everybody is. Some people do, you know? That's great when it happens. But some people, and like Carmen, it took 3 months, and then her body was working, okay? So
It hasn't stopped since.
yeah, yeah. Thanks be to God, 'cause she works for me, right? Okay. So, if you study the loop between the brain and the body, do you think that messages need to travel 100%?
Yes.
I think it's probably the case.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
They do.
do you think a liver trying to detoxify a body needs information? That 100% information.
Yes.
Absolutely. Main detoxifying organ in the body is the liver. So, how many of you know if your liver is detoxifying right or not? How many of you know that? You don't know that, okay?
No.
You may not have any pain. You may be walking around and your liver may be at 50%. You may not know that, okay? That's why it's important to get adjusted even when you don't feel bad. That's why I get adjusted, okay? Does the heart require 100% nerve flow without interference to work right? Heart's the most innervated organ in the body. It is very well innervated. That's how we run heart rate variability studies, because it's so well innervated. Keith Wassung, and he's the one that does those slides up there. He's really, and the reason he started doing those is because he had such tremendous results from chiropractic care that he just wanted to promote it. He says that thinking of chiropractic only as pain relief is like robbing a bank and stealing only the pens. Okay, and sometimes I wonder if the bank feels that way too. You know, they chain them up there. They don't want anybody taking those pens. You know, I mean, these things are valuable. You know, plastic things. Yeah. So anyway, so if we look at how like traditional medicine looks at pain and some of the things we deal with. You know, it's like, okay, got back pain. We're going to inject you with enough cortisone to make you kill enough nerve endings to make you not think you have the problem anymore, so you can go out and re-injure the problem and not even realize you're doing it, okay? Now, Cindy, my office manager or financial manager here at the office, who you guys usually don't see, she's only here on Thursday nights, Thursday evenings. She works full-time at a big orthopedic clinic here in town. And she says she sees this all the time. She sees these injections that a lot of them don't work. People get an injection, 2 weeks later, they're in for another one. That one didn't work, okay? She says it's in and out all the time. Now, I am not saying that cortisone is never necessary. I'm not saying that. I've seen times when it was necessary. There are times when it is, okay? But I haven't seen a huge amount of those times when it is. But it is necessary. Sometimes pharmaceuticals are necessary. I'm not saying they're never necessary. But I think it's used way, way, way too much, okay? So this is not health care. This is crisis intervention, okay? So does injecting cortisone into somebody's body make them healthier?
No.
No, it doesn't make them healthy, okay? It does not make them healthy.
Treating the symptoms.
It's treating a symptom. That's crisis care. It's not health care. Sometimes crisis care is necessary. I'm not saying it's not, but it's not health care. We have to understand the difference between health care and crisis care. Now, chiropractic may be slower sometimes than a shot, but it's a lot more in tune with what your body needs to feel safe. So if your body's giving you pain, it's for a reason, okay? And covering up the symptoms makes no more sense than spray painting the oil light if it comes on in your car, okay? When I was a teenager, I ignored this once in my dad's car out in the middle of nowhere in West Texas.
Boom.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I heard this little ticking sound and it got louder and louder. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew the oil light was going on. I thought, I can make it. Boom, the engine blows up out in the middle. It was not the best day in our family's life. Certainly for me, okay? Not my best day, okay? So that car was over. It was over for that car and our family. So we're not here to hide your symptoms and pretend that the afferent pathway is okay. We're not going to do that. Now, research is, we've talked about this, even a minor subluxation can shut down 60% of the nerve flow. Only 10% of the nerves in your body deal with pain. 10%. What do the other ones deal with? If only 10% deal with pain, what are the other nerves there for?
Function.
Yeah, function. They deal with function. So you can have, if these nerves are not being irritated or subluxated, but the function nerves are, you're not going to feel any pain. So even if your liver is only functioning at 40%, you don't even know that there's anything wrong. So an individual as a nervous system is free of interference as possible can fight off infections, sickness, and I should put in there COVID. Much easier, okay? So what about children who are subluxated? they can't always tell you they're in pain. Okay, they just can't. So how do they act? What can they show? Well, number one, chronic colds. So you get a kid that's got chronic colds, probably subluxated. Allergies, food intolerances, behavioral issues, chronic ear infections, classic subluxation issue. You also might want to check if you're giving them too much dairy. They may have a dairy allergy, and that can cause some of these also. Sore throats. All can stem from interference between the brain and the body. And when you clear that interference, kids can be a lot healthier. What happens to a lot of these kids? You know, when they're not treated naturally, what happens to them?
They suffer, they grow up, and they don't know they have an allergy.
They get antibiotics is what they get.
Yeah.
They get drugs.
Yeah.
Antibiotics destroy the GI tract. They create autoimmune diseases later on down the road. Lots of antibiotics do. They create all kinds of problems, okay, that cause issues with that kid for the rest of their lives. And so this really, the spine needs to be looked at first. Am I saying that kids should never have antibiotics? I'm not saying that, okay? I think they get way too many of them, though, and way too many when they don't need them, okay? That's the problem I have with it. Everything's an antibiotic. Okay, an article in a prominent neurobiology journal in 2014 stated the following regarding nerves arrived from the upper neck area, from right here. They have a great influence on your heart and your lungs. Subluxations of these areas can influence the heart and the lungs, breathing and heart rate. This area also influences the entire autonomic nervous system and health and biological balance. Just that area of the spine. That's why I put so much emphasis on that area. Okay? Very, very important. This is normal. That's subluxated. This is one reason why it's hard to understand how chiropractic can work. You know, some people say, hey, you just got to go over the rest of your life over and over and over again. You really don't if you don't want to. I mean, you can stop anytime. I'm not, putting a lock on the door. But, when are we going to stop brushing our teeth? Is there a time when I'm 50, man, I don't need to brush my teeth anymore, We're going to do that? So the reason that, we don't brush our teeth only when they hurt, right? When they start hurting, that's when you're in a crisis situation. That's when you haven't brushed them enough, all right? We brush them because we want to hang on to them. I'm in my 60s. I want to hang on to my teeth for the rest of my life, okay? That's why I take care of them.
It's about prevention.
Yeah, it's about prevention. So, Tour de France riders, I met the guy that's worked on the Tour de France people from the United States. They get adjusted every day. They get taken care of every day. Why? Because they perform better. Animals, racehorses get adjusted. They perform better. Now, they know that enhances their performance. In other words, let me tell you something about animals. I adjust animals. I see animals on Saturday morning. And I can tell you this for a fact. If you have a dog that gets adjusted periodically, like, once a month, once every couple months, that dog is going to stay. First of all, you're going to have them 30% longer. And during that time, that 30%, it's going to be a lot healthier dog. Okay? Most of the people that bring their animals into me, they bring in these decrepit little creatures who are near death, and they want another, 15, 20 years with them, and I'm going, well, I'll do my best, but it doesn't always work out, I just tell you that, okay? But when you adjust them, they get better. A lot of them get better, but not all of them do. And I would suggest if you want to keep your animal healthy, get them adjusted. They don't need as much as people do. Animals are a lot tougher than people, but they really do a lot better when they get adjusted. So, yeah, they're healthier and live longer. So we adjust people because it's the right thing to do. It enhances the expression of life. Just the same reason we drink water, we take supplements, it enhances the expression of life. So, Most of you guys know that in a couple weeks we're going to do our Patient Appreciation Day. That's why we're doing the contest, so you can win some nice prizes just by coming here. If you refer somebody into the office during this time, you get, what, 12 tickets? Is that right? 12 tickets, okay? And so who do you know that has chronic health issues and isn't getting better? You know, just send them in, okay? If you know, they don't have to be a patient here. We'll just gladly talk to them. We'll do a spinal check with them, tell them what we found, and say, you know, if you want care, that's great. Here's what we need to do. We just want to give them a chance to have a better life, to have better health. Okay, they have the kind of health that I've had for my whole life, which has been pretty good. That's all we want to do, is give them a chance to have a better life and better health. So if you refer somebody in here, you get 12 tickets. The question is, who do you know? You put their name on the board back there. Send them in. You might win an air fryer, so now you don't have to deep fry your food anymore. Okay, or you might get a smartwatch. So you know, that'll help you manage your steps and everything else. Or you might get to eat at the oven for free. So that's third prize. So thank you so much for coming tonight. Next week we're going to be talking about chronic pain. What causes chronic pain? We're going to be talking about 2 primary reasons people are in chronic pain. It's a talk I've never given before, totally unique to anything I've ever done. Okay, so I'd love to have you here for that. Otherwise, God bless you guys.